Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena and welcome back to another video. So today, because it's been so long since I've done one of these videos, I really like to think that my channel was really known because I do read a good amount of indie books, but I've just been leaving them aside lately because of so many new releases in traditionally published books. Damn. So I think it was in March or in February, I did like a list of some of my favorite indie self-published books. So I kind of want to update that list because I've read so many new like indie books that I really want to show you. But yeah, let's just get started with this one. I have like 10 favorites and 4 honorable mentions. So let's just get started. So in the favorites category, I'm going to include Shadow of a Dead God by Patrick Samphire. I really want to get a physical copy of this book. I think this is not available, but I want one. I read this one as a part of my TBR challenge, and it's actually one of the finalists for the SPFBO this year. And it's such a fun story. It's not like extremely deep, it's just pure fun in a fantasy setting. I love it. We basically follow Benedict Thorne, and he's like a really low magician. He's not a powerful magician in any means. And he was just supposed to make this kind of a smuggle little job with one of his friends, like his old-time friend Benny. But everything really went south and Benedict is accused of a murder and he basically has to prove his innocence. And there are so many cool elements in this book. It's kind of a heist story, a detective story. It has a little bit of everything. The main character is extremely likable. It's just like a dummy. I like him so much. But yeah, I think this one is a great choice if you just want a light-hearted fantasy. And there's also Ghost in this book. For some reason, there's also Ghost. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I would highly recommend to check it out. Then on a kind of different tone, but still in the fan category, we have Reborn Apocalypse by, let me check the author's name because I always say it right, L.M. Kerr. I always say it backwards for some reason. But this is basically a lit RPG, meaning a literary role-play game. It's kind of a really weird mixture between video games and books. So you will have things like stats for him. For example, he has like 70 of mana and 100 points of life and I need to upgrade. Things like that. So if that's not your jam, you might not like it. So you might just want to pass on this one. But I do really like literary RPGs. One of my favorite series is basically a literary RPG, but we will talk about that later. But I did really enjoy that one. It reminded me a lot of SAO, Sword Art Online. It has like the kind of same concept, but it's not exactly a video game. So the book starts with our main character being on a gigantic battle for basically the destiny of humanity. There are several armies, they clash, and they're basically about to lose. But right before he gets stabbed, he gets like this wish, this reset that sends him back a couple of years ago when this kind of kidnapping of humanity happens and he has all his memories intact. So he's there the first day and he's just like, oh, wait a minute, we're about to be kidnapped and thrown into this fantastical world where we will have just to upgrade and go into these different levels to survive. So he's sent there and then of course, they are all kidnapped and they go into this world, as I've told you. So he's just like their level 1. He's basically like farming the first chapters, just like, yeah. But it's super cool. He tries to change things. He tells us how he went the first time. It's just a super cool concept. I enjoyed the hell out of this book. I really want to read the sequel, but super good. I think that is going to be one of my all-time favorite series. Oh, then we have Uncanny Collateral, and this one is by Brian McClellan, the author of the Powder Mage Trilogy and the sequel trilogy, which is Gods of Blood and Powder. I always say it backwards. This one too. Why? But I was really surprised by this one. I had no idea that Brian McClellan actually had like a self-published series, and I was just like so surprised. But this one is a urban fantasy where we follow Alec, and Alec is a reaper. Yeah, it was a reaper. He basically collects depths from like magical creatures. And It's just so cool. He's kind of a bounty hunter, okay? But he's a Reaper. Reaper sounds so much better. So cool, but he is tasked by a death to actually find a thief. And I'm just going to leave it at that because it's a really, really small book. It's kind of a novella, mostly. But it's just so fun. It's just so cool. The world here is fascinating. I really want to read the sequel. I have it on Audible because this is not available physically, I believe. I think this is only like Audible exclusive. I might be completely wrong, but in any case, it's not available in paperback. I freaking love this one. And I forgot to put it on my wrap up the month I read it because I had read like so many books that month and I forgot like a dummy. The next ones, I have physically all of them because they are so good. So let's just talk about A Devil's Night Dawning by Damian Black. I still have to get part 2 of the third book, but I freaking love the first one and the second one. It's a pretty, like a really dark fantasy, and it has so many weird elements of dark mages and such. It's just so cool. So in this world we have this order of kind of monks called the Argolian Order, and they basically fight evil magicians. So basically the barrier between the kind of magical evil world and our world is debilitating, and they're basically trying to fight it back. And we're going to follow basically 2 different characters, and we're going to basically follow Horsecrown. Was that the name? It's a really complicated name. And Adelko, he's an apprentice trying to fight these evil magicians. It's just so cool. There's a scene, I think it's in the second book, in like a dark forest, and it's just so atmospheric, so cool. I would highly recommend this one if you like dark fantasy. It's a great mixture. According to the book, it's like a mixture between George R.R. Martin and H.P. Lovecraft. And I kind of see that. I wouldn't say that it's 100% accurate, but it's so dark. It's so cool. Then let's talk about Six Sacred Swords by Andrew Rowe. This is the spin-off series to Sufficiently Advanced Magic by the same author. And in this one, we follow Keras as he got into the continent, basically. Keras is a character that shows up in Sufficiently Advanced Magic and in Forging Divinity in the first trilogy. So you should have read both before reading this one, but if you don't care about the rest and you just want to read this one, go ahead. Like, why not? It will spoil some things, but if you don't want to, well, you don't want to. I almost said press. But yeah, in this one, Keras is basically trying to acquire the 6 sacred swords, and it's just so cool. There's a dragon companion. She's just the best. Oh, I love her so much. And in the second one, we have like a magical tournament, which is super cool and super fun. This series is really the definition of fun. It's just so cool. We have bandits, we have magic, we have dragons, tournaments, magic swords. It's just great. Can you see that I just like my books like stupid fun or stupid dark? There's no middle ground for me. Oh shit, I forgot to pick it. But it's just up there, up just like in the top. Dawn of Wonder. I freaking love this book. It's kind of a military fantasy. I didn't tell you the name of the author. By Jonathan Renshaw. It's kind of a military fantasy book. There are not many fantastical elements in this story, but it's just so cool. We basically follow Aidan as he gets into this military academy, basically, and we follow him from there. I'm going to leave it at that because it's a chunker of a book, even though you cannot see it. It has like 600+ pages. So many things happen. There's also the trope of a abandoned city, which you know I love. I freaking love that. But beware that the sequel has no date yet. This book has been out for I think 4 years already, and the author keeps updating the page for the second book, but it's taking him super long. So beware of that if you're really interested in that one. But it's super cool. I just love following young children in this kind of super tough academies. It's just like so cool. Then let's just talk about Never Die. Then let's just talk about Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. I adore this book when I read it. It's just so cool. Basically, the premise is that we're going to follow this young child as he is tasked by a Shinigami, a god of death, basically. But yeah, he's tasked to revive these 4 fallen heroes. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. So they can actually go and basically kill the emperor. It's amazing. There are so many cool scenes here. Oh, the one in the bamboo forest was just like amazing. It has great twists. A couple you can see them coming, but they are so cool. It's super short. I will highly recommend this one. The cover is stunning, but yeah, this one feels like anime all the way through. It's just incredible. The fight scenes are over the top. It's quite dark also. Great Asian inspired book. I freaking love this one. Then let's just talk about the last favorite one before we talk about the honorable mentions. This is Chasing Graves by Bengali, and I love the concept of this book. I just recently read the sequel. I cannot wait to jump into the third one, but it's just such a cool premise. We're basically set on this city called Araxes. It's Araxes, right? I always say Sarakis. Yeah, Araxes. And the cool thing is that this city has this river flowing that if you basically thrown in there a dead body, the ghost will come back and be your slave. And you can only liberate them by giving them their coin. It's just such a cool concept. But yeah, we basically follow the master locksmith Caltro. Was it Culture, right? I just read this. Yes, he gets to Araxes and the first night that he's there, he's killed and basically sold into slavery. So yeah, he's basically trying to escape his fate. At the same time, we're going to follow this mysterious lady that is dragging a body through the desert so he can get it to Araxes. And at the same time, we're going to follow the daughter of the emperor, trying to take control of everything. Well, the emperor, the leader of the city, is just such a cool thing. It's just great. I freaking adore this. It's just, the premise is so cool. I think that this series gets better with every entry. I gave this one 4 stars, but the second one is just like more of a 4.5. The twist at the end of this book was so good. I gasped while I was just like driving, listening to the audiobook. It was so freaking good. Maybe you're smarter than me and you will get it sooner, but I was just so surprised. Let's just talk about the honorable mentions before the #1 book. So let me just talk about A Paternus by Dirk Ashton. I don't remember if I put this one on my first indie list, but I really enjoy mythology. I've said it multiple times, and this shit has everything that you want in mythology, in the book of mythology, because it has all the guts of every damn mythology thrown in here. You have people with magical guns, and I mean, this dude has a thing, and it's facing this guy. It's just, the covers are amazing. It's just so damn cool. The basic premise about this one is that basically all the heroes, the gods, and myths from all times are coming back, and they are basically facing each other in this just everlasting conflict. It's just so cool. I will highly recommend this series. Sometimes it's stupid fun and sometimes it's dark, but it's a mixture that works. So I will highly recommend you check this one out if you find that premise interesting. It's weird, but you're going to really like it. I forgot to talk about Wolfgang. It's I will talk about this later. Let's just talk about They Mostly Come Out at Night by Benedict Patrick. I read this little novella a couple of months ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It didn't become a favorite right away, but the more I think about this world, the more I like it. I really want to continue in Jan's world. It has 5 books out currently, I believe. But in this first one, we follow 2 different characters. The first one is Lena. He is basically an outcast. He has been that almost his whole life, because one day a attack happened in this village and basically everyone blamed him. So now he's just basically set aside all the time, and right now he's having dreams about this prince called Adahi that is actually fighting the same beasts that are attacking Lonen's village. It's a really cool concept. It kind of felt like a dark fairy tale. I really enjoyed it. It had some problems with the pacing, but overall I really enjoyed it. So I would highly recommend checking this one out. And also, all the novels in Jan's world are standalones, so you can start with whatever book you want. This one was the most appealing to me, but the third one just looks amazing. I really want to get to that. Oh, I completely lied to you. I only have 3 honorable mentions and I have 11. favorite books. So the last honorable mention is London, which is the first book in Surviving the Evacuation by Frank Thiel. And this is a zombie book, but it's written as a diary and it's just so good. Mind that it has no dialogues because our main character is alone throughout the whole book. So if you don't like gigantic chunks of narration, you probably won't like this. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really like zombie books, so this was just perfect, right on my comfort zone. So yeah, straight away, fantastic. So in this one, we basically follow Bill. He's like broke a couple of weeks ago, and he's about to be evacuated because a really weird virus is spreading throughout Britain, basically. But yeah, help never arrived, and he's actually stuck in his house with his leg basically destroyed. So yeah, it's a really cool concept because you have a man that is trapped in his house, but even though he wants to go, he cannot because his leg is just like shit. So yeah, it's super cool. I really enjoyed this one. I've really been wanting to continue with the series. It's taking me my sweet time, but I really want to continue. So let's just talk about the top 3 series that I love. So this is mostly a guilty pleasure, but I freaking love the Wolfgang trilogy by F.D. Cross. I enjoy the hell out of this trilogy. I just got the 3rd book because it came out this year, so I'm just super excited. But in this one, we basically follow vampire hunter Wolfgang, and he was just like having his sweet time in his house with his wife and his son. And then one day vampires attack. They basically kill his wife and kidnap his son. So he's out there going for revenge. The first one looks small, but the second one is freaking gigantic. So beware of that. The third one is kind of in a middle between the first one and the second, but it's just so cool. It's a really dark, gothic vampire books. If you like the vampires in Castlevania, they are just like super regal and elegant and just fucking terrifying sometimes. You will 100% enjoy this. It really felt like fucking Castlevania all the time. Have just like this guy going through these different dungeons and killing different beasts like lichens and such. It's such a cool concept. I freaking adored it. It's just like the guiltiest of pleasures. Now here's the thing. Which one of these two should be number 1? I don't know. I really don't know. This book has been really my thing this year. I cannot help it. But the name of the channel comes from this series. So this is hard. So I'm just not going to choose. These are both number 1s. This is my 2 favorite of all time. Super, hyper, mega favorite in the books. Self-published books. I freaking adore both of these ones. Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe and The Sword of Kaigen by ML1. Let's just talk about Sword of Kaigen for a bit because I've talked about this one so much this year. So this is a fairly new favorite of mine. I read this one on March, I believe, March or February, one of those months. I adored this book with all my heart. This was such a surprise. I already knew this was going to be good, but I wasn't expecting to love it so much. I cried my eyes out with this book. I don't cry with books. I'm not an emotional person. But for the last 200 pages, 300 pages of these books, I just couldn't stop sobbing. It's just the way ML1 made me care about these characters in this standalone novel. It's a fucking standalone. What the hell? And some characters start dying in page 300. And I was crying like a little child. I just want to cry right now just thinking about it. There's a scene in this book that rips my heart every fucking time. I just freaking adore this. In this one, we are set on the Sword of Kaigen, which is a region of the Kaigenese Empire. This entire families of incredible fighters. Each family has like a power of their own. We're going to follow the Matsudas, and their talent is the Whispering Blade, which basically is just like making a blade out of thin ice. It's just like so thin that can cut through anything. It's just fucking incredible and so cool. So inside the Matsuda family, we're going to follow 2 main POVs. One of them is Mamoru, who is the son of this family, and he's always been like loyal to the Kaigenese empire. But because of the arrival of a new student, he's starting to question if maybe the Kaigenese empire is not telling them the truth. At the same time, we're going to follow Misaki. Misaki's Mamoru's mother, and she's like the badass, the most badass woman ever. She's incredible. Is strong in so many ways. It's just she really finds her way in this book, and it's just incredible, super satisfying. But yeah, she is basically kind of accepting her new fate in this household, just becoming like a traditional wife, even though she used to be like a strong warrior. But oh my god, I don't want to tell you more. I did a full review for this book. I will link it up here, but this book is incredible. I couldn't recommend this book more. The only thing that I will warn you about is that the climax of the book happens in like page 350 or something, and then we just follow the aftermath of a battle, and it's heartbreaking and it's slower, but it's just so good. This one is so good. I get so emotional just talking about this book. Holy shit. And then let's just talk about Sufficiently Advanced Magic. This series doesn't make me cry. It's the opposite. It makes me so happy. Every time that I reread this, I had like a gigantic smile on my face. I just couldn't stop smiling because I just have so much love for this series. The third book is coming out next month. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I have read everything set in this world because I'm in love with it. Andrew Rowe has a talent with basically writing convoluted worlds and convoluted kind of magic systems, because this is heavily inspired by lead RPGs. So again, it has things like I only have this mana available for this spell, so be aware of that. But basically, in Sufficiently Advanced Magic, we follow Corin, who is the greatest cinnamon roll ever. He's not like the strong hero who is extremely gifted. No, he has to use his brain all the time, which is something that I adore. I adore like little cinnamon rolls. They're so good. In this world, once you get into the certain age, you have to pass this judgment, meaning that you go into these towers that were put there by their gods, and you get into this kind of maze. If you manage to get out of the tower, you will get an atonement, which is basically like a magic stamp that will give you powers. And if you don't make it out well, you will just die. That's it. The cool thing is that if you reach the top of the tower, you will be granted a wish by the almighty goddess, and that's basically what Corin wants, because 5 years ago his brother disappeared inside the tower, and he's just really desperate to actually find him. But yeah, it's just like so cool. I will warn you, most of the book doesn't happen inside the tower because Corin actually has to pass his judgment, and then he wants to go back into the tower, so be aware of that. But the cool thing is that we have a magical school. It is such a cool magical school. It's kind of a magical and military school at the same time. It's super good. It has some amazing characters. It also has amazing LGBTQ plus representation, so incredible. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I just love it so much. It makes me so happy, like happy. I really cannot choose. They both give me like so many different feelings, you know. I cannot compare them because this makes me sad and this makes me so happy. But yeah, I completely forgot to put Wolfgang here. I'm sorry. Yeah, now it's better. But yeah, those were basically all. I will update you more next year, because even though I try to read more indies, I only get to like 2 a month. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this one. Have you read any of these, or are you planning on reading any of these? Please let me know. I will gladly talk to you in the comment section down below. But yeah, that's going to be all for today. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.